Ability Transfusion is causing a whole lot of drama across the community because some people think that this feature should not get added to the game. If you didn't watch my most recent video, they're adding a system, at least this is currently on the Skyblock Alpha, where you can go in and extract any ability off of any item. Like I could extract the Spirit Mask ability, and then I could go and I could put it on another helmet. You could see that my Diamond Necron head has the Spirit Mask, and this applies to most things with abilities in the game, including Hyperion. You can see Wither Impact here is something that you can unlock to just put on any weapon, and people are freaking out. They're saying that this will kill the game. This is going to be something that destroys everything, and everyone's going to be too OP. But I'm here to tell you why that might not be the case and why this could be a pretty darn cool system for the future of Skyblock. I'm going to kind of go over the pros and cons and talk about overall how I feel about it at the end, but this is definitely an interesting system, and I don't think people are looking at it how the admins are looking at it. So if you enjoy this video or if it helps you out, I'd really appreciate a like or a subscription. And also remember to use code BANANA on the Hypixel store for 5% off any purchase. Ranks, gems, gifts, you name it. It'll give you 5% off, and I'll get a little bit of a cut, so it is a great, great way to support my channel. But let's talk about the new Ability Transfusion system and what it could mean for the future of itemization in Skyblock. Currently, itemization in Skyblock is pretty darn boring. There isn't many choices that the player gets to make when it comes to the gear that they are running, because some stuff is just very, very clearly better than other stuff. The abilities that get made that are super duper cool basically never get used because they're not going to be on the best weapons. Something like the Felthorn Reapers thing, for example. No one at the end game is actually going to be using that because Claymore just has such better stats. So this update is trying to fix what this flowchart is basically showing you. What this flowchart is that I'm showing right now is the questions that a player would ask whenever they get an item currently in Skyblock. Is the ability good? Is probably the first thing that people will ask. And if the ability is good on an item, you use it. This is shown with something like Ice Spray Wand. No one cares about the stats on Ice Spray Wand because the ability is just really good. Same with Fire Freeze Staff. It's mainly with these utility items. The ability can be just amazing, and it doesn't matter what else you're using because that ability is so good. If the ability is not good, though, you got to ask the question if the stats are good. This is shown with something like Claymore. Dark Claymore does not have an ability, but is one of the most used weapons in the game towards the end game, because it is actually just so beefed up with damage stats. So if the stats are good, you use it. And if the stats aren't good, you don't use it, okay? So this is the simple graph that is basically showing how it works in the game right now. That is how the players' decisions are made. But the admins clearly don't think that that is enough choices. They don't think that those decisions are interesting enough. So they're changing it to basically two different flowcharts. So this first flowchart is very simple. This will be whenever you drop anything that has an ability, you ask, is the ability good? If it is, extract it. If it's not, don't extract it. But also remember that you get Skyblock XP from this, so you'll probably just want to extract everything because it's pretty simple and there's nothing harming you from doing that, especially if you already museum the items, because it just soul binds the item, I believe, whenever you extract its ability, and it's pretty simple. So extract it, put it in museum, never think about it again. It's pretty simple. The other flowchart is very changed though, because on the last one where it said, are the stats good? Now you kind of get to choose your stats. So the question would be, what stats do I need? You would look, if you're using Wither Impact, for example, you would want an item with intelligence and ability damage and anything that's going to just buff damage against the mobs that you're fighting. So right now, the best intelligence weapon in the game is still Hyperion. It will be Hyperion when this update releases. And that means that for most cases, most just normal cases, the best option to have Wither Impact will still be on the Hype. But there are the cases with items like the Atom Split Katana. Atom Split Katana does bonus damage to Enderman as a passive. It gets like a 300% boost. So you could put Wither Impact on an Atom Split Katana, and now you're going to see Atom Split get more use because it actually is able to deal a ton of damage with the Hyperion click. The same thing would go for something like the Scorpion Foil for spiders. If you put Wither Impact on your Scorpion Foil, that would make it by far the best option for Tarantula Slayer because it's going to deal so much more damage than anything else. What you're effectively talking about here is separating the ability and the passive on items, but I don't think that there's enough choices in the game currently to make that a super interesting draw of the feature, and I think that is why people are frowning upon this, because as I said, in reality, most items will probably stay the same. Claymore will obviously gain an ability that it didn't have, and something like a giant sword or a lot of the melee weapons, which currently have some pretty bad abilities, will have access to something like the Petal Barrage from Bouquet of Lies, and it will be pretty solid. But outside of the melee weapons, you're not going to see people putting like Wither Impact on a Spirit Scepter, because it wouldn't make sense. Hyperion's still going to be better for Wither Impact than most, if not everything else. And the same thing can be said for a lot of abilities in the game, because you don't really need that many slots to handle the amount of good abilities right now. And that's the problem. There's not enough choice in the abilities themselves to where this will actually lead to any unique builds, because you're just going to put Ragnarok or Petal Barrage on pretty much every melee weapon, and you're going to have Wither Impact still on your Wither Impact probably, or you'd put it on your Slayer weapons now, because that is like the only kind of item with actual passives. I think if they added passives to like every weapon type, like let's say long swords attack slower but deal more damage, and then they add like more daggers across the game, and these daggers are going to have passives where it is more attack speed and more ferocity, and then they have like another subsection where it's just like cleavers, and cleavers have that bit of extra cleave attached to them. And once you see those kind of things come out where there is a passive differentiating it and you're actually splitting it up more and more, I think this becomes a really cool system. But right now it's just going to be Claymore with ability, or Hyperion still being Hyperion. It's not going to shift the meta. The armor is, there's like one option for every single piece. You can use Spirit Mask, Creeper Pants, and Tarantula Boots. There's not enough things to put on other things where this system is going to be anything more than just power creep at the higher ends. I think once they add more options, once they balance out some of these abilities, like I think if you give a bunch of these like buffs where there would be a reason for someone to put Rapid Fire on their Terminator, or where there would be a reason to put Fire Veil on a wand other than Fire Veil wand, I think once you get down that line, once you get like months and months and multiple updates out where they've added so many new abilities, I think this system can be really cool. But I think it's flawed in the way it's set up right now, because I think it will just release and just be broken, where Claymore is just going to get better and nothing else will really be too noticeable other than the fact that you're going to have the Spirit Mask ability on every single helmet that exists. I see what they're going for. They're going for like a Diablo kind of vibe where you have the ability tied to just nothing, and then the item that you get is like, it's going to have random stats on it, and you can put the ability onto whichever random stat you get that is the best, or whichever stat fits your situation the most. But there's not randomized stats on items in Skyblock. They're still just, you drop a Hyperion, or you craft a Hyperion, and it will have the same intelligence every single time. Or if you drop an Ice Spray Wand, I guess that has the different dungeon stat boost. But they don't have a system like that across the entire game. They also don't have just randomized items where I can drop like just any sword, and it could have just like a buttload of strength and like some true defense and some ferocity or something on that. They don't have systems like that, but I do think that this could be a step in the right direction where they could have something cool. But complaining about the late game Hyperion being like, oh, putting Wither Impact on everything's going to be broken. Yeah, it'll be broken, but Hyperion's already broken. And it's not like they're adding Wither Impact to the early game. It's not like you're going to be able to instantly access this. So it's not going to like change that much. If you're able to put an ability that you have unlocked and soulbound yourself onto anything, I don't see a big issue with that when it comes to the progression. And I think people are freaking out just because they like freaking out. So that's basically my thoughts on this. Let me know down below what you guys think. See ya.